Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tom Donahue. I'm a member of the board of Encore Palm Beach County and want to welcome you all to today's presentation and thank you for your continued support and interest in Encore Palm Beach County. I want to remind you to please check out our monthly newsletter and our website for all of our events coming up, except for the people who are going to be participating in the discussion. If you would all mute your audio. And with that, I'd like to introduce Rosemary Nixon, who is the founder and president of Encore Palm Beach County, and she'll be leading today's presentation. So, Rosemary, it's all yours.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate your help today. This is going to be a kind of an informal conversation among all of us, but the real purpose of today's event is to showcase the work of the volunteers at ABBEY DELRAY and also the contributions of the management of ABBEY DELRAY and Life Space Communities. And to kick things off, I'd like to invite Brandon Bornstein, who's executive director of ABBEY DELRAY, to say a few words. Brandon, are you there? Yes, you are.
Thank you, Rosemary. I appreciate the introduction. And so Carolyn invited me to speak today. So I wanted to pop in and say we appreciate everything that you guys do and help with the volunteerism with our residents, and also, appreciation from ABBEY DELRAY. It does help give some purpose and meaning to our residents, and we appreciate everything that you do. And also, just to let you know, if there's anything that you need from ABBEY DELRAY, never hesitate to ask. We are always willing to help. If you need space or manpower, just let us know and we'll try to jump in.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that very much. So I know you got to get back to work and you're sliding away there, but thank you for being with us. So what I want to do today, just to kind of put things in context, I thought I would share with you to begin with how the idea for the projects at ABBEY DELRAY began. And it actually began 50 years ago. They say that nothing is ever wasted, our personal experiences, our knowledge, and so forth. And that was true for me. 50 years ago, I was hired in Hartford, Connecticut, to start something called the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, funded by Action, which was a national volunteer agency. And the goal at that time was to recruit people retiring from local corporations to volunteer service, just like with the Peace Corps and VISTA and other programs. And I have to say that was a real introduction for me. Of course, I was 50 years younger than I am today. So I really didn't know a whole lot about volunteerism. And I really wasn't in contact with very many people who are retiring. So it was an education for me. At that time, we didn't have continuing care communities. That's something new since that period of time. We only had some retirement homes and nursing homes. There wasn't that in-between thing like assisted living. But one of the things I learned very quickly was that the people who lived in nursing homes were very eager to participate in some kind of volunteer activity. Yes, we referred people to the Red Cross and other kinds of volunteer positions. But what we ended up doing was organizing volunteer projects to be brought to people in nursing homes, wrapping gifts, writing letters, all kinds of things. And the sociability of those activities, like the old quilting bees kind of thing, people loved it. They felt that they were making a contribution and they were enjoying being with each other. Now, that was 50 years ago, and my path in life took a lot of other changes and direction. But when I retired from Ameriprise Financial. Back in 2016, I decided to create Encore Palm Beach County because I felt there was such an abundance of skills, talent, and wisdom among older people who had moved to Palm Beach County that we'd be crazy not to tap into it to help our nonprofit organizations. And so that was really the focus of our work initially. As we went along, we realized that there were a lot of people over 50 who needed help connecting to work opportunities, and that companies, local companies, were interested in hiring mature workers. So that's the second part of what we do. But volunteerism has always been a key focus for us. And as I was talking with Tom before we started, there's something like almost 500,000 people have moved to not to Palm Beach County, to Florida in the last couple of years. And those people coming are all ages, young and old. And so I think that we have a wonderful potential reservoir of people to help our businesses and our nonprofits flourish. So I also read a lot in the literature about aging, that engagement in volunteer work and paid work and learning opportunities are important aspects of healthy aging. The more people are engaged in learning and doing, the healthier they will be mentally and physically because of the contact with other people. Social isolation is a very negative thing for aging. And so it occurred to me, particularly when the pandemic hit, that I haven't done a count of how many continuing care communities there are in Palm Beach County alone, but there are quite a few. And there are thousands of people, maybe, I think, say thousands of people living in them. Nobody's ever done a count that I'm aware of. And I thought, well, my goodness, nonprofits are saying they can't get volunteers to come out to their office and work on projects and so forth. Well, why not bring the projects to them? And then I remembered what we did 50 years ago. And I said, let's find out what organizations would like to be involved, who need help. And fortunately for me, I knew Carolyn Kettle, who lives at ABBEY DELRAY. And Carolyn and I go back a long way. We belong to the same church, and we have been in communication for years, and we're both big believers in the value of volunteerism for our communities and our individual lives. And it wasn't just the pandemic, it started before the pandemic. There has been a decline in the numbers of people who are involved and have a sense of the importance of being part of a community. And they feel isolated from it. So Carolyn offered to organize a team of volunteers at ABBEY DELRAY. And I offered to try and make connections to nonprofits in South Palm Beach County and just spread the word that there was a group of people who wanted to help out. So really the theme of our conversation today is the importance of purpose and meaning and being part of a larger community. And CROS Ministries was one of the first organizations to step up with projects and has been totally involved with the volunteer team at ABBEY DELRAY. And Emily is the coordinator of all the CROS Ministry projects. And I'd like to ask her to tell us what you do and why you do it. Juanita is going to talk a little bit more about the work of CROS Ministries, but I'd like to know more about your role and why you as a person do the things that you do.
Thanks, Rosemary. I would have to say that when Juanita asked if we would go ahead and take on the project, I was like, sure, I love seniors. My mom had recently passed away and my mom was a senior as well. And so I had spent a good portion of 2019 and 2020 with my mom in and out of different facilities due to her own health. And so I had the opportunity to see the best of the best, but also areas of improvement in those communities. And so when ABBEY DELRAY approached us, I was like, sure, let's go, let's try it. I felt like we had nothing to lose in the process of trying a new experience. And so we kind of created a team at CROS. We have an assistant that works in our camp program, and we have a volunteer named Mark. And so we just loaded up the CROS pickup truck with different projects our first visit and said, let's go. So I would have never thought that one project later, we would be going into our 13th project. We started with simple projects in our camping program with Mark, Tiffany, and I of just taking Christmas presents to be wrapped. We do a huge Christmas in July program and a Christmas party. So we'd load up the pickup truck with 200 plus presents. And Carolyn had all the tables lined up and she had everybody ready to go and do projects like that. Then we became more creative in the needs that we had most. And we started bagging rice on site. We started double bagging. And so as we've gotten to know these residents, for the three of us, the second Saturday in the month is something that we really look forward to going and doing. I would say that the group that's on the call today are people who've really gotten to know Mark, Tiffany, and I. We're not just staff who come in and do a project with the folks at ABBEY. I feel like, honestly, we've become family for them. Mark is 22 years old. And Mark comes in and shares with all the residents about his week at school, his kids that he takes care of in the aftercare program. So for us, it's not only been about the opportunity of doing projects with CROS, but really the opportunity of building relationships with the residents of ABBEY. Carolyn checks in, she's making sure that I'm on vacation. They were checking in when my mom was sick. And so for me personally, as the staff from CROS, it has become something that I really enjoy doing, and so does our team. I would say the benefits for CROS as a whole, it's a rough estimate that in the past 12 projects, they've donated about 360 hours of time supporting CROS, which is significant when you think about that. And I also would say that I enjoy watching the residents interact themselves. That's been fun because they don't always know each other. So Carolyn invites the crews in, and those that don't know each other get a chance to introduce themselves and get to talk, and they settle in and they talk about all kinds of things. And then they always are invited back. And so she's had a really strong, solid crew of like 10 to 12. We've been as high as 18 to 20. So I don't think that nonprofits need to come up with the most amazing on-site projects, if you will. I think that nonprofits need to look at what they do and see what can be taken out in the community to be done. So for us, it's been a great experience. And I would say it's been relationship building, and just the benefit that people have to be together. Yes, it's a benefit for us because we get the projects done, but I think that there's the greater meaning behind it, and that's in the relationship building.
Emily, you've really touched on something that a lot of people talk about as being important, and that is the intergenerational connection between people of all ages. In our society, we tend to segregate. Young people go to school, middle-aged people go to work, and older people, well, they retire and fade into the sunset, I guess. But that is not reality. And not only in the nonprofit world, but in the world of work, that is a subject of great discussion these days, that there could be as many as 5 generations in a workplace. And I suspect that your workplace also has people of different ages. And so that's part of the work that you're doing. You're not just wrapping presents, you're building intergenerational relationships. If you haven't really thought about it, that's what's going on.
I think that's a really key thing. I mean, when I look at how old Mark is currently 22. Tiffany is in her early 30s, and I'm not afraid to admit that I'm 41. So I'm super proud of that as we're on the call today. But as I think about what we do and the relationships that are being built, there's become a care. You know, I've learned a lot from the residents at Abbey, and caring for my parents themselves. Mark now has a set of 22 grandparents. You know, Mark doesn't have grandparents. And so, you know, for Mark, he's had an opportunity to build relationships with seniors, take all these life lessons. You know, the same for Tiffany. It's really the small conversations around the table and the intergenerational part of it that's so significant for, you know, for folks. And so I do agree with you. There's power in those conversations. There is a great connection of the intergenerationalness, which I think that it brings a lot of fun and laughter and encouragement. And so I think that if nonprofits join more, I think that they'll see that. Because ultimately, for me personally, at the end of the day, I don't get in the car on Saturdays going, oh, Rosemary, I'm going to do another project. You know, I get in the car on Saturdays heading down going, oh my gosh, we get to see Meryl, and we get to see, you know, Ed, and we get to see Carolyn, and we get to hear what's going on. And I think that that is why there's such an excitement for the three of us when we get to go.
Emily, we couldn't ask for a better spokesperson about the need for intergenerational relationships. And I was talking with Tom before we began that in my last newsletter, I pointed out this movement of people to Palm Beach County and Florida in general, and that years ago, Florida used to be called God's waiting room. You know, it's where people went to die. And it's so much more different now. Young people like yourself, even younger people, generations of all ages are here in Palm Beach County. And our goal is to break down barriers between older and younger people and tap into all that energy that you have, the knowledge that they have. And you've really spoken beautifully to it, Emily. I thank you for your work and your contribution, both to CROS Ministries and to the people at ABBEY DELRAY. But let me ask you one more question, and I know you have to go to another event. What made you join CROS Ministries as a place to work? I'm sure you could have done other kinds of things too, but was there something about CROS Ministries that appealed to you as a person?
I came from the residential camping experience, and so I was looking to have a little more sleep at night, to be honest. I worked year round doing residential camp where you live on a campsite. And so I was looking for an opportunity to continue to work with children in the community. And so when the opportunity at CROS came up to run their day camp for inner city kids, I was really excited about that. I believed in the mission of what we do, feeding the insecure in the community. It was really funny. I tell people all the time, I came to CROS expecting to stay 3 years. And Rosemary, I'm in my 11th year at CROS Ministries right now. Yes, I never expected I would stay that long. I tell people I've stayed because of the 3 F's. I have stayed because we are a family at CROS. We work really well together. We're an absolute dynamic team. I have stayed because of the incredible flexibility that we have as people in the community who are on a team, and just being able to take care of of all of the things that go on. And I've really stayed because we're a faith-based community that works with other people in the community of like-minded faith, or continuing to learn about other people's faith in the process. So 11 years later, I still smile every day. I love getting up and doing what we do. Juanita can attest to that too. She's been at CROS a lot longer than me. But initially it came with a change of scenery that ultimately has turned into a phenomenal opportunity of just being involved in the community.
Emily, one of the things that, as I mentioned, we try to do with Encore is to connect people over 50 with new work and volunteer opportunities. And in our digital world, a lot of people think that the way to find a job is to go on Indeed or Monster or job boards like that. One of the things that we've tried to tell people that there are opportunities in the nonprofit sector as well as the for-profit sector. People think first of, oh, okay, what company can I get a job with? But we've tried to open up people's minds to the fact that there are job opportunities in the nonprofit and government sectors. And you've spoken very well to why you do what you do. But you've also reminded me that Juanita and I need to talk about getting CROS's job board on our website along with our others. So I never leave a call like this that I don't have a to-do list of things to follow up on. So Emily, I know you're on your way. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us and the folks at ABBEY DELRAY before you leave?
I'm just super thankful that we've had the opportunity, to partner together. It's been a great experience. I hope that what we have started with the folks of ABBEY can be extended to other care facilities in the community, just because I feel like it is an incredible opportunity for people to connect and to help nonprofits. So I'm hoping that they are setting the example for Palm Beach County and that we can do this and expand this with more folks, because I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Well, one of our board members, Joni Chirbo, is on the call, and she'll be talking later about her desire to create similar programs in North Palm Beach County, up where she lives. So she'd be the first to tell you that we see you and ABBEY as models that could be and should be replicated around the country. Well, every journey begins with the first step. So thanks again, Emily.
Absolutely. You guys have a great day. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye. So Juanita, you can unmute yourself. I just want to say that I have known, and I first met Juanita at the Delray Chamber of Commerce. I must be 6 years at least ago. And she was doing great work back then, highly recognized by the chamber. And I know that, well, I know you've been making a difference for a lot of years. So let's talk about the work of CROS Ministries so that people understand what you're all about.
Okay, so CROS Ministries' mission is to serve the hungry in Palm Beach and Martin counties through community collaborations. So when Rosemary reached out to me, I was like, sure, let's see what we can do. Because the backbone of CROS Ministries is the volunteers. There's no way that we could operate our 8 food pantries in 15 locations without the volunteers. And the way we're able to serve 15 locations is because one of the pantries is a mobile food pantry truck that goes to primarily the middle western part of our county, because it is considered a food desert, meaning it has very few of the regular grocery stores. So people have to go to the corner stores, which we all know cost a lot more money. And I'll share one example is a woman came out of an office after paying bills, but she didn't have any money left. And she was wondering how she was going to feed her family. Luckily, she looked up across the street and saw our mobile food pantry truck. She came over, was able to get groceries, and was just so grateful and relieved that she was now going to be able to feed her family. Last year, our pantries served 48% more people than in 2021. And we have already served 15% more this quarter than the first quarter of 2022. So the need is great, and we need volunteers as well. And one of the tasks that the ABBEY DELRAY community has been helping us with is double bagging. I think, Emily mentioned that. And what it is that we pack food bags at our warehouse, and we use the paper bags to hold the food, but then we add a plastic bag because our mobile food pantry truck has refrigeration to keep the produce and meats that we get donated from the food banks. So the paper bags get moist, and they will then sometimes fall apart. So that's why it's so key for us to get those bags double bagged so that the people will not have their food fall through as they're walking away. And I also wanted to note that we served over 111,000 people last year, with 31% being children and 11% who were seniors. So that's a large percentage of people we're serving who have no control over their situation. One of our other programs is gleaning, where we go out into the fields to pick produce that's been left behind, because it's not grade A that the grocery stores and restaurants will buy, but it's still perfectly good. And so last year we were able to recover over 779,000 pounds of food.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that went to local food banks to be distributed to over 100 different agencies like ourselves with food pantries and hot meal programs. And I brag about this program because it is like, getting it's farm fresh right out of the fields, and people get it, within the next week, which makes the produce even better and more nutritious, because there are companies who donate produce to the food banks, but of course it's on its last leg that they can't sell it anymore. And so by the time it gets to a food pantry or hot meal program, they have to throw away half of it. So we're, through our gleaning program, are able to provide the top quality fresh produce that people can't afford to buy in the grocery stores. Then we have our hot meal program, the Caring Kitchen, that is located in Delray Beach, where we serve a hot lunch to go Monday through Friday at different sites. And we're serving about 80 people. And it is a mixture of people who are working, but I call underemployed, seniors, and those without homes. Then we also deliver over 200 meals to people who are homebound, primarily seniors, but some also with disabilities, or maybe they're just home from the hospital and need temporary assistance. And so we're giving out 5 meals for the week. We deliver 2 on Monday and 3 on Wednesday. So we have multiple programs that, again, are not able to operate without volunteers. And we can't say thank you enough to the ABBEY DELRAY community. And of course, Carolyn Kettle, who makes it all happen for the many ways that you have helped us with multiple projects.
Juanita, thank you very much for that. And I'm sure you know, and you may have even been contacted. We're in the process of updating the page on our website for volunteer opportunities. I have a volunteer who's been contacting the organizations who have posted to, because of the pandemic, so many organizations were not able to use volunteer help, In fact, many nonprofits have actually gone out of business for lack of funding and volunteers. I don't know whether you've noticed that. But I can tell when the phones are not being answered any place that some organizations have been terribly affected by the pandemic. So if you haven't been contacted, if you haven't been shared what your current volunteer opportunities are, there will be an opportunity to do that. And so we're working through that. The pandemic affected everybody in different ways. And a lot of organizations have not really woken up to the fact that they can't just expect people to come and volunteer at their place of business any longer. People are still reluctant, and their attention has been diverted to a great extent. So a lot of organizations have lost volunteers. The work of CROS Ministries is truly very well, it's very impactful and impressive. And how long have you been at it, Juanita?
June will be my 27th year. Yes, but I want to say that we are 45 years old this year. So we have had the blessings of being able to grow to the point, yes, that we have 8 food pantries serving 15 locations. And it is because of the great support of our community from not only different faith communities, but businesses, schools, civic groups, and retirement communities, you know, that have made it possible for us to truly address hunger here in our community. And the partnerships are key to us being able to still be here and to still serve.
Unfortunately, a lot of people who have moved to Palm Beach County and live in those retirement communities don't really know about all the nonprofits that could use their help. And so, well, we're working on it, Juanita. What can I say?
Exactly. One day at a time, one step at a time.
That's what they say. Okay. I see a group of folks, but I can't really make out who they all are. Do you want to introduce your fellow volunteers there?
I am so proud. I can hardly do this right. I'm so proud to introduce Myrna Witt and Sandra Cohen, who have been with me from the beginning. I first want to say, Rosemary, you are the reason for it all. Because without you, we could not have gotten the best of the nonprofits. And we do have them. And I want to say, because the audio cut out, Juanita has been with CROS for 25 years. That is a long time doing what she's doing. But these nonprofits are so valuable to us here at ABBEY. We took this on as a leap of faith. During COVID, did not know who we want to get out of their apartments. And after our first meeting in May of 2021, they all stayed behind for an hour. Some of them knew each other, some didn't, just to socialize and get acquainted. And now each month they will say, after 15 projects since May of 21 that we have just completed, they will say, when is the next one? And it's a fraternity, it's a sorority here at ABBEY that I love. We've named them the Delray's Caring Angels for Nonprofits because I knew we would have other committees here, but I wanted to be sure that this one stood out for the nonprofits. And I want to say primarily that what the nonprofits have given me, it keeps my blood pressure down and my energy levels up. And I want to also say that Encore and CROS Ministries should think about taking Emily on the road with this video because she is a good ambassador for all of us, and said it so eloquently. But Sandy and Myrna are my motivators for keeping this going. They got the volunteers going. We had up to 30 or more at one time. We have 18 to 20 now. And I could not do it without them. I'm so pleased that they're here. And will you give an opportunity for them to say something? Will you give an opportunity to say something?
I would like to hear from Myrna and the other volunteer there with you. Sandy, tell us why, Myrna, you first. Tell us why you do what you do. I think that's what we really all want to know is why do you do what you do?
I always did volunteer. I had interesting experiences. I was a hospice volunteer. I taught disabled children horseback riding. But then when I got old, and this was probably when I was in my 40s and 50s, and then I moved into a senior living place, not like Abbey, just an over 55. And I did volunteer for little things, but nothing that was very rewarding, because if I didn't do it, somebody else would have. And then I moved to Abbey and I met Carolyn, and she truly is our leader. I wake up in the morning and I put my computer on and I say, oops, there she is again, because she's always sending us texts and emails, and she's the most enthusiastic person I've ever met. And we do this an hour a week, an hour a month. I would be more than happy to do it more than that, because I feel like we're like sisters. We have a couple of brothers, but the majority of us are sisters. So I thank you for giving us this opportunity. And I just wanted to say something about Mark. When I first met Mark, I really didn't know anything about him. He was just somebody that helped carry in all the stuff. And now he's like a grandson. He tells us about his weekly experiences and his experiences with children, and he's just a delight. So I thank you for giving us this opportunity to help out any way we can.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you and all the other volunteers at Abbey, but to really speak to the fact that one person can make a big difference. I mean, you put them all together, you get an even bigger difference. So thanks again. All right, pass the mic.
Hi, my name is Sandra Cohen, and you'll have to excuse me, I have very bad allergies today. But the reason that I started and came here is because Carolyn and Myrna told me about it, and I said, sure, sign me up. My past experience, I've been a clinical social worker for New York, and one of my last tasks after being a clinician was a coordinator of volunteer services for the agency. So I'm really familiar with volunteerism, and I believe in it 100%. It's good for the volunteer, it's good for the people, it's good for the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carolyn, you want to get that mic back there so we can thank you again. You know, every one of you that has spoken about the fact that you had a past history as volunteers in one way or another. And that is why it is so important that we tap into the older members of our community who tend to have a experience with being volunteers. The research shows that volunteerism, generally speaking, has declined in our country and in our communities. Not that there aren't always a lot of people who still are doing wonderful things, but that sense of community, a tradition, it seems to be lost with some people. And I really think that that's why we have to tap into our older members of our community, because they do have that sense that they are here to serve as part of a community and not just in their own little bubble, which people say so many people are in these days. They're just in their little bubbles on their devices, and hope we can tap into more of you folks going forward. As I said, this will be converted to a video. It'll be in our newsletter. It'll be shared as much as we can share it. And I hope you will share it also. So because we feel that this is something that more people need to know about, I'd like to introduce Joni Cherbo, who is a member of our board. And Joni has been eager, now that the pandemic is over, to work to share this concept with communities and nonprofits in North Palm Beach County. So Joni, if you would unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about your plans going forward.
Hi, everyone. I must tell you that when I first heard of this program, I couldn't wait to jump on board. I think that one of the things that has bothered me for years, watching my mother and older friends of mine age without purpose. I have a very good friend who was in her 80s, and she was very down one day. And I said, Sarah, I said, what is it? She said, I'm a useless piece of poop. And she was saying, I have everything I could want as far as comfort. I have family. I have all sorts of opportunities to go out and see theater and music and whatnot, but I can't make a contribution that makes me feel whole and purposeful. And I think all of the retirement facilities that I know of up here and in New York, where I spent most of my adult years, go out of their way to create amenities for older people. Swimming, golf, tennis, pickleball, cards, anything that you can think of, crafts, but they fail, in my mind, from the ones I've seen, to really understand the value of making people feel useful, giving them a purpose larger than themselves that they can do and feel that they're contributing to their communities, organizations they care about, even larger, even the world sometimes. And that's just not writing a check. It is hands-on work with other people who are similarly inclined. And I got very excited. I met Caroline. Hi, Caroline. And I think you're a little angel. I don't know where you hide your halo, but I know it's there somewhere. And Rosemary, who's put this together. Without Rosemary, we would be nowhere as well. But all of you have helped to bring this together, as Rosemary said, as a model. And I think of this as a model that maybe we can translate into other communities. I'm up in North County, and I am planning to speak to the North County Chamber to get a hold of the not-for-profits who are up here and see whether they could use help, and to speak to, starting out with a couple of the retirement communities to see whether I can nudge them or kick them or induce them to become a part of a program like this. And I'm hoping that this video will be helpful in getting them motivated, inspired, in fact. So thank you all for what you've done, and I hope that I can have some degree of success in this. We're going to get it fully launched this summer, and wish me luck.
Well, we certainly will wish you luck, Joni, and any support we can find for you. You said something that reminded me of something that someone said to me one time. That life isn't about being comfortable. a lot of people have kind of forgotten that, and we tend to feel that, well, that's what we need to do for the older people in our communities. Let's make them comfortable and keep them happy, and but people need purpose and meaning in their lives. And a lot of people, being new to our area, don't know how to connect unless, their social director for their community brings in speakers or something. They don't really know about all the opportunities that are out there. So you have your work cut out for you, Joni. But I'm sure, there's also, well, everybody knows me, knows I'm full of old sayings. I've got a trite but true saying for about everything. And there is in the Bible the story about the farmer who, throws his seeds out, and some of it falls on barren ground, on rocky soil, and nothing comes up. But some of it falls on fertile soil, and people hear the message. And that's all we can hope for, is we throw the seeds out there, and hopefully there are people who will respond. I know that they're there. It's just reaching them. And I used to do a lot of talking to people in retirement communities before pandemic, and there are people who are eager to be involved in doing something that gave more meaning to their life, and others who are not interested. Different strokes for different folks. It's all fine. So to wrap this up, unless Carolyn, do you have any final words before I wrap this up?
I certainly do, Rosemary. First of all, to you, to Joni, to Tom, to Juanita, to Emily, for being there for us with this Zoom today, which is going who knows where. We have 16 other life space communities in this USA, two others here in Delray and across the country, and they will see this. We will have this recording available to our residents, but I want to thank especially those today at ABBEY DELRAY who participated. I'm grateful to Brandon, our executive director, Brandon Bornstein, Jennifer Marquardt, who had the vision, like you did, to do this today. She's an outreach manager in sales. I have other, and these two participants with me today, very special. Also, I want to thank, we have people in the audience who are not, they might be seeing, if you had good eyes, seeing in the picture in the background, but I have other, the Caring Angels here today, and other residents here at ABBEY. And I'm so grateful for ABBEY's support of us. We get all the publicity we want and need, and the auditorium at our use whenever we want it. And our cups are really running over. And thank you, Rosemary.
Well, thank you, Carolyn. Joni, when you're looking for communities to work and do projects for nonprofits, you have to find a Carolyn in each one of them, because one person can make it all happen if you find the right person, a person like Carolyn. So to wrap up, I'd just like to note that on our website, there is a link for anybody who will be watching this video. There is a link to a volunteer assessment form, which if you complete it, we will help you find a volunteer opportunity that's right for you. And also on our website is a page devoted to listings of volunteer opportunities, which, as I said, we're in the process of updating. Please share the video when you get it with friends. And if you know of any organization that might need help with projects that our volunteers could work on, please email me at encorepbc@gmail.com, or use the contact form on our website. And I want to thank everybody for your work. You are really, everyone is helping to make Palm Beach County a great place to live. Thanks again and have a great day.